I'm Jonathan Robinson, and this is Fred Buzz. All right, welcome back. Episode 2, Season 2 of Fret Buzz. Getting it going. Thank you guys for watching the last episode. Made me feel all warm and tingly inside that you missed Fret Buzz. So here we go. We're gonna try to keep it rolling this time, at least for a while, and then we'll see what happens. But jumping right in to today's videos. First one is a channel that you've heard me talk about before. If you watched many of the Fret Buzzes, it's True Tone Lounge. I love True Tone Lounge. Hopefully you guys are subscribed to that. But this one is it's Kenny Vaughan. A lot of you guys probably know who Kenny Vaughan is, but some of you maybe don't. He's a fantastic guitar player, plays with Marty Stewart. I've had the pleasure of seeing him play in Nashville a handful of times. He's one of those sort of guys who fly under the radar, but he's just a fantastic, not just a guitar player, but a musician, you know, and he sort of effortlessly skirts that line between country, the chicken picking kind of stuff, sort of, B-bender, Telecaster playing, and jazz. And that's all good and well, but the reason I think these interviews are so good on True Tone Lounge, when you hear about these guys who play at such a high level, it's just nice to hear their story. It's nice to hear what sort of makes them tick, how they got started, how they approach things. Zach is such a good interviewer. He covers a lot of those things. This one is pretty long. It's just over an hour and a half. But man, it's worth listening to. It's inspiring. Maybe turn you on to some things you haven't heard before. Maybe you've never even heard Kenny Vaughan. That's enough right there. But when he talks about all his influences, the things his parents listened to, and how he got into just wanting to be a guitar player. Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. So don't sleep on that one. Watch it. Whether you are an absolute beginner or you are a gig and pro and you've been playing for 40 years, there's good stuff in there. So that's why that's one of my don't miss videos of the last few weeks. And that's why we're starting out on that one. And then by sort of the same token, leading right into the next video. It's really not a video. It's a series of 3 videos. It's in the Musicians Hall of Fame channel. And they're interviewing another guy who flies a little under the radar, and his name is Jeff Skunk Baxter. You probably know about him if you're watching this channel and you're a guitar nerd. You probably do. But you know, he's played with the Doobie Brothers. He played some with Steely Dan. And he goes into all that in this series of 3 interviews. This is part 1, part 2, part 3. So they're much shorter. You know, you can watch them in little 20-minute increments, which is kind of nice. But, you know, he talks about backstage stories or stories behind the scenes with the Doobie Brothers, how Steely Dan got started. And you know, even his first band, the band called the Tarantulas, you'll see when you watch the videos. But it's just cool. It's just cool to hear these guys talk about what makes them tick. The thing that I love is when I listen to these interviews with these really, like I said, high-level, successful musicians. Some things are sort of a common thread. Some things aren't, and I think that's inspiring, especially if you're younger and you're like, oh, you know, I don't have this, or I don't know that, or I haven't done this. You can find a success story of a guy like this who was in the same boat or worse. And then there are little things that are common threads, and I think most of those things have to do with their thought process and the place they are mentally. But anyways, check this one out, Jeff Skunk Baxter. I find a lot of times when I watch interviews of guys like this who maybe were not my cup of tea, maybe they're not the kind of music I'm zeroed in on. Like I'm not really a huge Steely Dan fan. I don't have the strong feeling about them one way or the other. Stuff like this always makes me appreciate those things. It makes me want to go back and check out those bands that maybe I missed or skipped over on purpose, or maybe I did not appreciate at one point in my life. I think that's probably going to be the case on this one. You know, if you're not a Doobie Brothers fan, you're not a Steely Dan fan. Either way, I think you will probably be a Skunk Baxter fan. Don't forget, speaking of Baxter has his own strong opinions about Steely Dan. You guys should ask him in the comments of some of the other videos. I won't say which way he leans, but yeah, much stronger opinions than I do. So anyways, there's another one. There's so 2 interviews this time around, and again, I just think they're super valuable. I got on an interview kick when I watched Rick Beato a few weeks ago interview Pat Metheny, and I was like, man, this is so just fascinating. And I'm, not a jazz player, not particularly into that guy's music either, but that made me just want to, go and sort of dive into it and just get into his headspace a little bit. So yeah, there's a bonus one. Didn't mean to throw that one out there, but I'm not even going to put a link to that one, but you'll find it. Rick Beato, obviously it's a huge channel, the Pat Metheny interview. So check that out. Number 3 for today, and this was such a good video. It's not a guitar channel per se, which I guess, honestly, other than True Tone Lounge, it's all guitar players. Musicians Hall of Fame is a lot of guitar players, but not necessarily. And this last one, it's a channel where professional musicians react to certain things. And the name of this video is why it's impossible to play September's Melodies. September is an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. If you've ever been to any sort of wedding, bar mitzvah, party, anything, you've heard it on the radio. It's been around forever. I've never paid much attention to it, but so a couple really high-level musicians sitting down with the CEO of Patreon, and they react and dissect this song. It is really cool. There's something in this video that I go through with all my students all the time when I'm trying to teach them how to sort of maybe step up their guitar game, especially their rhythm, that they don't necessarily have to play these big, huge chords all the time, even though I am guilty of that myself lots of the time, especially playing in a trio. But this song's put together, no one's really playing chords. It's all these intricate pieces. There's a cool guitar part, there's a cool horn part, there's a really interesting keys, sort of electric piano part, and a killer rhythm section. And they just talk about that, how things should fit together, how tight it is, how lines are supposed to create harmony, and those are your chords. Sometimes you don't have to play chords as a guitar player. And it's just cool. It's cool to hear what these guys who are professional musicians who have played for some big names, who are out there gigging. I think one of the guys has perfect pitch. It's cool to hear what they want to dissect from a song like this. I can remember thinking that songs like this were daunting to learn because they don't sound right if you just learn the chord progression. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like a jumble, too much information. My brain didn't know what to do. I can remember listening to like sort of 90s country songs that felt the same way. Like it was just too much stuff. There wasn't a riff to learn like in a Cream song or a Skynyrd song. It was just all these little pieces. And I just, I couldn't wrap my brain around them. Hearing these guys talk about it, I think is a great step down the path of how to learn songs like this, whether it's funk or whatever. And it's just cool to hear really great musicians dissect things and talk about maybe learning a song, how they hear it, how they parse it out. Yeah, it's a great thing. I think it's super valuable. And just because it's not all focused on guitar, I think there's still lots of things to glean. Maybe it's even better because it's not all focused on guitar. It's just focused on the musical aspect. And those guys they're pretty funny too, so it's entertaining. So there you go. Really, it is 5 videos, but really it's only three separate topics for this week's Fret Buzz. Let me know what you think of them, if you got anything out of it in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming over to my channel. I'll be posting new things on there, so I'll put a link to that again in case you want to check out my personal YouTube. It is greatly appreciated. I appreciate your comments and your interactions, so thank you so much. If you haven't, click like and subscribe for this channel. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss videos in the future. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you next time on the Fret Buzz.